You are now listening to the Here for the Truth podcast, hosted by Joel and Yerasimos.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Here for the Truth podcast. By the time you're listening to this will be the first episode of 2026, but we are recording this on the 30th of December of 2025. And for us, it's our final say for this year. And man, what another great year, bro.
Yeah, such an amazing year, man. I can't believe what are we going into? Like our fifth year?
Yep.
Were we in it? 2017. No, sorry. 2021 was our first podcast. May 17th. It continues to blow my mind that we just continue to show up, sit down at our desks, and do the thing that we're doing. And it just feels like such a gift and a blessing that we're able to do this. And the reality is, without y'all listening, I mean, sure, we're probably still doing it, but if like 4.5 years, 5 years later, we had like 7 downloads, that would probably be an issue.
Well, it will be a reason to reassess. That's for sure. But yeah, man, I absolutely love this. I love that we get to do this week in, week out. I love that we have people that are really into these conversations and these kind of topics as well. And the world has changed a lot since we started this way back in 2021. Obviously, I guess the texture of the time back then was a lot different to what it is now as well. And, there were many different varying options of what 2025 to 2026 could have looked like back then. I know, as I've shared many times, the sentiment amongst quote unquote truth seekers in Australia was that the world was never going to be the same, was that we were never going to leave. And, it wasn't until Canada actually opened its borders to unvaccinated non-citizens that I was able to leave Oz back then. And I've been in Mexico ever since then. But what are you sensing in terms of, I guess, the general direction that the spiritual evolution of humanity is heading in? What are people going to be craving more going forward? And what is required for the times that we are heading into, I guess, in your intuitive opinion?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think I could look at it in different ways because in a certain sense, my focus is on me, my wife, what we have going on in our community. So when I look at our community, the people that are drawn to us, the people that listen to this podcast, the people that have joined Friends of the Truth, there is kind of this thread of individuals who understand that there are things happening in the world in a lot of ways out of our control. There are things happening in the world that are meant to truly distract an individual. There are things happening in the world that are shady as fuck. You know what I mean? And yet, where are we putting our focus?
Mm-hmm.
Truly. If we say that attention is the true currency, where is that attention going?
Yeah.
And I get it. When we started this podcast, the world was in a different place. Even the texture of some of the episodes that we had were, relevant to the things that were happening. But now, the way I see things going and how I see things happening and what I think is required is there has to be the move inwards, a true move inwards to really understanding yourself, realizing why you do the things you do, why you are the way you are. What do you truly want in your life? What do you want to build? What do you want to create within this crazy world, crazy system where we're being bombarded from every angle about all the messed up things that are happening? All the crime, all the death, all the murder, all the corruption. And yet, what do we choose within that?
Yeah. Most people pay lip service to this phrase, know thyself, or know who you are, know what you really want. But let's kind of unpack that a little bit further. What does it really mean to know thyself? And what are the real world benefits in knowing thyself?
I mean, I love the phrase, obviously, from the ancient Greeks.
Great people, those Greeks.
Well, I mean, what does it mean to know yourself? It's the stuff that I was just even kind of commenting on. Like, do you really understand the depths of who you are? Do you understand your wants, your desires, your values outside of what was programmed and conditioned into you by mom, dad, culture, your priest, society, your friend group? What is that? Like when you're alone, when you're taking a walk, when you're laying in bed at night or in the morning, like what's happening internally? Like what are those whispers?
Yeah.
What are you drawn to? What are you excited by? What are you scared of admitting? What are these things that like bubble up inside of you that you can hold on to and go, this is mine, outside of all that other stuff? And then the next question is, are you listening to this voice? Are you acting upon these things? Are you moving forward in your life wanting to be excited and lit up by all the things that you're drawn to?
Yeah.
Do you when you engage in relationship and shit goes down and you're being triggered and you're being annoyed, are you curious to understand why, as opposed to just life sucks, this person is a narcissist, I'm done? You know what I mean? Like what like can you think back, like, oh yeah, wow, my mom did that with my dad and now I do that. Oh, that's so interesting. Like, do you have this like insatiable curiosity to really like get a grip on your inner world and the dynamics that you have in like with yourself and with others? Like, so when I think of know thyself, it's like it's all of that encompassed together. And of course, you and I, we are students of, more esoteric realms, whether it's tarot, human design, astrology, etc. And so we have these systems that I think we could, at this point, say a lot of people get a lot of value from these systems
Yeah.
that help pinpoint and help you dial in like, oh, this totally makes sense. I've been given this gift of life. I'm this unique being, not to beat the horse dead, but we say it over and over again. We are one of one. We are a miracle, each one of us.
Yeah.
And then do we treat life as that miracle? Do we look in the mirror and go, there is no one like me. I am this unique spark of consciousness, period.
Mhm.
And what does that mean? And do you get to know that unique spark and fall in love with that spark as you go through life, as you evolve through the different phases? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's,
No,
I
beautifully
think
said,
that's my
man.
answer.
Beautifully said. And I think, one thing that really landed for me is like, it's those whispers in your most quiet moments, I feel personally, that at least inform me the most. Because I know it's like when I'm not consuming, when I'm not immersed in family life, when I'm not distracted, when I'm not working, when I'm not just busy, say 5:30 a.m. in the morning and I'm walking, whether in nature to the gym or whatever. And then there's whispers. And those whispers, for me, provide the most of value in terms of informing me as to who I am. And very often, those whispers are calls to action. They are little hints of inspiration. They are, you should think about this today. What would happen if you moved in this direction? How would it feel to do this? And then I feel within me this life force or this energy from my soul, which gets excited about certain hints of inspiration. And then you're right. It's in the act of harnessing those whispers and then moving them into action where I really get to feel who I am. And on that note, it's like for me, I know who I am most by my creations, I feel. And when I'm in the act of creating, because I feel in those moments, whether I'm writing music, whether we're working on a course module, whether we're working on a podcast, whether I'm writing a post. It's in those moments where I have deeper access to this. I feel like just this realm or this field of what interests Joel, who is Joel, what excites Joel, what does Joel want to talk about, what does Joel want to share as a message. And so, like, what is your message? Because I feel like every single one of us are messengers, right? Yet we have been conditioned to shy away from our authentic message. And now we're moving into this state where we're really consuming homogenized information, which is dictated by an algorithm, and we're losing touch with what is our unique message. And I think I say that, and some people can get overwhelmed, like, what is my message? What is my message? But ultimately, like, it can be really simple. And it can be as simple as the things that you've shared. What am I naturally inclined towards? What are the things which people often give me feedback about myself and tell me, wow, that really comes easy to you. Or like, you really bring this to our relationship in a profound way. This is what I love about you as a friend. And I think that is the wellspring and the source that I want all of us to tap more into in terms of bringing forth our unique message.
Yeah, well said, man. You know, because it's like I think each one of us, we have to like look at our life, you know, where you were, where you are now, what
Yeah.
decisions have you made? Because in a lot of, I would say, as a general rule, sure, there are some things out of our control, you know, in terms of the family we're born into, the time period we're born into, all that kind of stuff. But I think once we get to a certain point in our life, if we can look at it in this way, right now, in this moment, is like this amalgamation and this accumulation of all the little choices that we've made in our life. And then the question is, do we take responsibility for that?
Mm-hmm.
Do we take responsibility for the fact that, okay, I get it. Like, you know, I went through a lot of shit growing up in my life. These things didn't work out, but here I am now as a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 6-year-old, however old you are listening to this right now. When you can sit with that and go, fuck, what do I do from now on? What decisions can I make to shift the needle in a different direction? You know, because again, I think for many people, we consume information, we learn things, we know things, but are we applying that, truly applying that into becoming more conscious, into going after the things that we want to go after in our lives? And like, I can only relate it back to myself. And I get that each one of our souls has our own journey, you know, and different things happen for different reasons. But as I've said before, like I grew up with Greek immigrant parents. And like they had an idea for how they wanted me to live, to follow a more straight and narrow path, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But there was just something in me
Yeah.
that was like, nah, I don't want to do this. And so do you make the decisions that are going to quote unquote disappoint your friends, your closest friend group that see you and project onto you in a certain way and expect certain things of you? Because deep down inside, you know, this is the path I have to take. I have to walk this road. I have to go on this journey of making decisions that I know deep down are right for me. And only you can decide that. Sure, you can have mentors. Sure, you can, you know, get advice from friends. But at the end of the day, you are with yourself. You have to feel what's happening in your physiology when you have certain thoughts, when you imagine certain things. And what do you do with that? Do you act on these things? Or is it again, well, next time, next year, when when X happens, then I'll be able to do Y. You know, and I get it. It's not as simple as that all the time. And yet sometimes it is. We make a choice. And then what comes from that place? And then we come back to this thing that I think we mention often is like this dance between certainty and uncertainty. And how willing are we able to live in the uncertainty?
Yep.
And for a lot of people, that's scary. And for a lot of people, their physiology, it's very difficult to even hold space for that. Hence the reason why you have to look at yourself and you have to be honest with yourself and you have to take responsibility and go, where am I at right now? And what do I need to take myself to the next level? Doesn't mean you need to give your power away to some guru. It's just kind of being honest and practical about the things that you need in order to be that person that another part of you I know idealizes and imagines and goes,
Mhm.
Yerasimos, I know you're capable of this. Joel, I know you're capable of this. Mary, I know you're capable of this. Frank, I know you're capable of this. That voice within us that knows deep down that maybe we're not living up to our potential.
Yeah, beautifully said, man. I came across this quote from Marcus Aurelius this morning, which really speaks, I guess, to this kind of concept. And he says, remember how long you've been putting this off, how many extensions the gods gave you, and you didn't use them. At some point, you have to recognize what world it is that you belong to, what power rules it, and from what source you spring, that there is a limit to the time assigned to you. And if you don't use it to free yourself, it will be gone and will never return. And I mean, this speaks to so many beautiful concepts which we touch on in these podcasts, whether it's existentialism, whether it's memento mori, even whether it's objectivism from Rand. Just value the fact that you live, value the fact that you have potential. And what does it really mean to let that that glass timer of sand and realize that one day a final grain of sand has to fall on this current experience of this life that you have. And that is the fundamental scarcity which drives all of human action. And what is the texture that you are going to bring to your life based on that objective reality that your life as you know it is going to end? Your relationships to your loved ones, to your children's, to your personal life is finite in terms of this experience. And what does that mean for how you behave and what kind of energy you bring to each and every interaction? How passionately you pursue your dreams, your visions, how seriously you take your creative goals, how deeply you love, how selfish, how much you can stand by yourself also in times of hardship.
Yeah.
And it's not about becoming rattled by this idea and becoming frantic by this idea and losing your center. It's about letting this concept and this idea humble you and humble your heart in the deepest way and imbue you with an even deeper reverence for the fact that, bro, this is a mystery, man. This is a mystery. And like I was just talking to my eldest Valley this morning. She's asking me some of the big questions about life, like who was the first person ever born and things like this. And it's like, baby, I don't know the answers. And I look her deep in her eyes and I say, isn't it wild that we know each other? Like right here, right now. Like, who am I? And what is this life force animating you? And this life force animating me? And we chose for some reason to get to discover this and learn these things together and have these conversations. And it's like, that's the seed, man. That's the gold right there. And my biggest, thing in having these conversations and having these podcasts and in any social media post I put out there is to really remind myself first, but also help remind you that that's really fucking special. That is the most fucking special thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, don't get caught up on the little shit. And the little shit is going to annoy you, and it does have its valid place. But for the human being that really understands the mystery and can zoom out into the grander picture and really see themselves as the drop in the ocean and the ocean in the drop, then it's like, what does today mean to me? What does this minute mean to me? What does this second mean to me?
Yeah. There's a slowing down that is required, I
Yep.
think, also to really sit with that and understand that. And for our listeners, we're into these different systems and you see my King of Clubs behind me. And, we had Alexander on talking about the source cards and, this period of time is the only period of time during the year where all 13 heart cards are in, that play out. And I find myself during this time, I don't know if it's just because of the holidays, but I feel a deeper connection to my emotional state, to my relationships, to the people in them. And memento mori is a concept that has been near and dear to me for a long time, but it's landing in such a new way now. And it's like more embodied. It's less of an intellectual exploration of like, we're gonna die one day. How do you choose to live? And I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
And I think what's really highlighting it for me is obviously having my mom here. We moved my mom here to live with us in May. We just had my brother and his family here for 10 days for the holidays, and like seeing my mom with her grandkids and realizing and seeing her say goodbye to them and crying as she's saying goodbye to her grandkids, because for her, she may not see them again. Like nothing is promised. And even for me, like, we have our weird, interesting relationships with our parents. I can't say it's always all amazing, but these people brought us into the world, and I'm blessed for the relationship I have with my mom. But like, it's not going to be there forever. And so, memento mori, like the gift, like you talking about Valley, of like how amazing is it that we get to share space, that we get to share air together, and like we get to share an embrace. And what does that embrace mean? And like, I can't let go of my mom sometimes. And it's not like in this like mama's boy way. It's just like hugging this woman that has given me life, that has allowed me to do the things that I do now, and to take in as much of her essence and like breathe her in and to hug her and to realize, wow, this relationship, how it is not going to be. It's just not going to be one day. And okay, I understand that with older people, but even with my wife, Sophie, this is something that's been happening more lately. We're sitting on the couch and I'm just having this experience, like this woman that I deeply love. It's all going to go. I mean, we don't know what happens after, but it's going to be gone. And like in that moment, I'm just like, fuck, like you have such a deep love for this person. You feel so connected to this person, and yet life is finite. And it just makes me want to appreciate the moments more. It makes me have more gratitude for the moments. And so my invitation to everyone is like, where are we like running around like a chicken with its head cut off? Where are we allowing ourselves to be distracted on things that don't really matter? And I think people that have been drawn to us and have stayed with us over the years, sure, we don't have as many conspiracy episodes, as we used to, and when we talk about being here for the truth, we really, I think, stress like the truth of who we are as individuals. And so, like, what does that mean? What relationships do you want to have? What relationships do you want to let go of? Which ones do you want to nurture?
Yeah.
Like, I just, I just feel like, and again, everyone's allowed to put their time and their energy and their attention on whatever they want to put it on. Okay. But you have to take a hard look at yourself and go, where is this going? Do I really need to spend 7 hours researching this subject that has nothing to do with my life? Meanwhile, my kid is yearning to play with me, or my wife is like, you're never around. Like what matters? Where are your priorities? Where are your values?
Yeah.
And that's not for me to decide and to look on you and to pass judgment. It's a direct, I guess, invitation to just get clear on that and to be honest and to feel the feelings that go along with, fuck, maybe I'm not stepping up my game as a partner, as a parent, as a friend, because I'm getting lost in these distractions. And I'm giving my energy to this stuff that has really no impact on my day to day.
Yeah, man. Nah, well said, bro. I just want to take this time quickly at the midpoint in this podcast. We've had a couple of people now that have finished Rise Above the Herd, the self-guided version, which we're so excited to be able to launch and offer to our people. And Stacy, who recently completed the program, she said, I've been trying to break free from excessive content consumption as I found since the scamdemic that I was overcommitting and under-delivering on these workshops and summits, just as you were saying, man. But I did, as Joel said, feel the need to answer the call this time since I have been aware of wrath. And I can tell you, it's no small feat that I actually stayed committed the entire way through. That to me is a testimony to how valuable and provocative I found the content. Also, Yerasimos and Joel provided such a grounded delivery, never felt judged by them. They were simply offering the fruits of their experience, which is unusually extensive. Really appreciated the EFT practices and the introduction to the genius of Rand and others. I can't imagine what it took to put this program together, but bravo. So thank you so much, Stacy. I mean, this is the mission. This has been our mission, is to walk our authentic path, and in doing so, inspire as many people as possible to also walk their authentic path. And that requires you to break free from crowd consciousness, from conditioning, from societal, familial, religious, spiritual values, many of the things we've been discussing right here, right now, and get in touch with what it is that you were really born to do. And, the Wrath content and the Wrath program is amazing, but Stacey, you're really amazing also for staying committed to that process in that 10-week container, holding yourself accountable, having personal responsibility, watching the modules week in, week out, doing the actions, doing the EFTs. And that's where transformation lives. Transformation doesn't exist without your input. And, so many people, they do these workshops, they go to these weekend retreats, they go to these summits, they go to these conferences. It's fleeting moments of inspiration, but it's nothing that's integrated and grounded and doesn't last. And many of the things that we're talking about, man, like you mentioned before, like your life is the culmination of every choice that you make. And that is really why self-esteem is at the foundation of what we think it really means to genuinely be here for the truth. Because unless you can be here for yourself, you cannot be here for the truth. And self-esteem is the call to action to be a friend to yourself first and foremost. And Nathaniel Brandon says that your destiny ultimately is, like you're saying, your self-concept. And your self-concept is the sum of your choices. And so, getting back to the regular conversation, like every single choice point that we make, the kind of partner that we choose for ourselves, the kind of careers that we choose, the kind of dreams that we pursue, how big we can even dream, all comes down to our self-concept, which is our self-esteem, which ultimately means what is the reputation that I have acquired with myself over time. And the strength of that reputation is the number one impact when it comes to real reality creation. And to me, reality creation cannot be separated from the conversation of coherence. And I think that's what we need to seek more than anything else. And that's what self-esteem really offers an individual is coherence. I want everyone to ask themselves, how coherent are my words, my thoughts, and my actions? Am I living as an embodied, integrated, integral, integrity, whole, right? Human being? What is your vision? How do you move forward? Are you who you say you are? And I think when these things really click in place, this is when we can bridge in, Veda Austin's work with water, Eileen McCusick's work with the biofield. This is where coherence really matters. And we draw to ourselves the most aligned experiences imaginable. And for so many of us, we were called to really examine the coherence of our lives during those scamdemic years. I felt it in Australia. Many people felt it around the world. And there were shifts, like cataclysmic shifts that took place in people's lives. And we had to make choices. And it was very pertinent back then because there was this existential looming threat that existed. But can you still value coherence and value authenticity in the same way, even without that? Can you be that source of accountability for yourself? Because right now, we live in a world where things feel a little cruisier. We're not being bombarded by the news and the programming about viruses and deaths and airports closing and, unvaccinated having a winter of hell or whatever it is that, Joe Biden said back in the
We're
day.
still alive, bro. We're still alive. Another winter.
We're still alive. Touch wood, touch wood. But number one, no need to be morbid, but like, you don't know when things are going to shift again. You don't know when the next massive false flag, dystopian nightmare is around the corner. And so, like, how do you hold yourself accountable to live your best, most coherent possible life now?
Yeah. Thanks for all that, man. And yeah, and the importance of that, and the importance of being here for the truth for yourself is knowing on the deepest levels, again, who you are, what you stand for, and people knowing that to some degree, because we're not on an island as individuals. We are amongst other people. We have community. And so when the shit hits the fan, it's community that matters. A community that honors you for who you are as the individual that you are. And so let's rewind. We saw that back in 2020. And I witnessed it personally because, as I've said many times, Sophie and I hosted these gatherings at our home to bring people together in Southern California. And there were people that just showed up through a friend or some random thing. They're like, I have no one in my life that really knows who I am. I have different values than these people. And so, sure, maybe things have changed in the 5 years that have passed. But again, ask yourself, do people really know who you are? Because again, when something happens out there, we need to be able to rely on each other. And I'm so grateful that my life is the way it is. And even what we've created with Friends of the Truth, none of that would have happened if each one of us didn't answer the call in our own way. And then when we use our voice, when we express who we are coherently, what comes into our lives?
Yep.
What situations, what opportunities, but most importantly, what people. And when I look at the quality of human beings that are in Friends of the Truth, that are in that Telegram group, having the conversations that we have, connecting in the ways that we're connecting, getting deep, being vulnerable, laughing, that's when I sit back and I'm like, man, I've done something right in life. Okay? Beyond the other stuff, the people that I've drawn into my orbit, that we've drawn into our orbit, that's the thing that goes, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, keep evolving, keep growing. Because to me, that's the signal. They're like, oh, wow, cool. And so again, look around you. Look at your friend group. Look at your communities. What do they say?
Yeah.
What are they saying about you in a sense? You bring up self-esteem. The self-esteem, who we are, has an impact on our friend group. The behavior that we tolerate with our friends, with the people in our lives there.
Yeah.
And so, again, this is all food for thought as
Yep.
we end this year and move into the new year, getting clear on that and your impact on your communities and vice versa. And where are you staying small? Where are you shying away from maybe saying a certain thing that can change a dynamic, that can even build self-esteem? Because you're standing up for yourself in a certain way. You're being clear on who you are, what you value, what you want, and you won't tolerate anything less in an interpersonal relationship, especially.
Yeah. Well said, man. And, anyone that's thinking it, yes, we understand it's a fake new year.
Yeah. I get it. We get it. Okay. The human design has its view of whatever, the third week of January. We got the Chinese New Year. We got the astrology. We got the Aries, the beginning of it.
Yeah.
I get it, y'all. Okay. You don't have to be the lone person that comes into the comments section and goes, actually, I don't know. You guys are saying Happy New Year, but did you know that it's not still New Year?
Oh, never listening again.
What?
Never listening again.
Yeah, that's it. I can't believe I ever listened to anything you ever said. You guys don't even know that the whole calendar and the New Year is a psyop.
Yeah. No, I love everything that you shared, man. And that's one thing you said I want to kind of squeeze on a little bit deeper is to really take stock of your circle of friends and to take stock of the intuitive voice that has been whispering for a while, potentially in some situations where it's like, I'm playing small because of my friends, or I am remaining stagnant because of my friends, or I am really not pursuing my highest vision in the way that I know I'm capable of, or the way that I really want to, because I'm afraid of what so and so might think, because that is one of the most powerful signposts, really, that crowd consciousness is impacting your life and is impacting the trajectory of you achieving your values, meeting your potential, living out your soul's blueprint. Um, and for many of us, it's like, that's really tricky. That's really difficult. We've had friendships of 10 years, 20 years plus, and sometimes we just tacitly play along, go along to get along. We don't want to disturb the status quo. We don't want to shake up what feels familiar and what feels comfortable. But very often, when one is on this journey of really pursuing one's potential, really understanding who one was born to be, and cultivating a life that reflects their deepest, most inner world, then some of those things do tend to get shaken up. But in my experience, the relationships that are meant to be will stay. The people that really value you aren't going to flee from you, put you down, or run from you because you're choosing something different for yourself. And so, again, let your coherence be the filter for your reality. And unless you're able to fully express yourself, unless you have the self-esteem, the courage, and the coherence to pursue these things that we're talking about, then ultimately, to kind of use this metaphor, that's how we let parasites into our reality. This is how we let distortions into our field, because we're not exerting enough energy into our field. And so other things need to come and fill the gap. And then we just settle. And when people say, oh yeah, I feel like I just settled. Well, that's exactly what it is. It's you didn't have the courage to express yourself in full, to know yourself in full, and to walk that path and to have that courage. So again, just a slight nudge and a call to action to take stock where that might be happening in your life too.
Yeah, and also too, it made me think of, you mentioned Veda Austin before. I know she's done this study with the eggs. There's some where one egg is grass fed or whatever, and the other ones are commercial fed. And you put the grass fed or the pastured egg close to the other eggs, and it changes the structure of the other eggs. And so again, by you evolving and growing and expanding and standing for who you are, not playing small, living more coherently, you have no idea how it's going to impact those people in your life. So stop waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder. Deep down, if you're listening to this podcast, if you found us somehow, you're a certain kind of person. So that's what I'm talking to. I'm not sitting here talking to the person who's eating Cheetos 7 times a day and binge watching TV 10 hours a day.
Well, don't judge, bro. Don't judge.
Well, I'm just not. I mean, unless you are, then cool. And you're on that part of your journey, but still something in you has brought you here. But yes. So what was I going to say there? I forgot. I lost my train of thought. But anyways.
Veda Austin eggs, your coherence impacting others.
Well, yeah. I mean, pretty much that. You have no idea who in your friend group or in your family is going to go, oh, yeah. Wow, I like what I'm seeing and feeling and witnessing. Well, maybe I want to shift. Maybe I want to change. And that's not going to be the same for everyone. So don't dim your light just so someone doesn't speak to you in a negative way or talk behind your back about in a negative way. If you feel like you're tired smoking weed all the time, then make the choice to stop smoking weed all the time. If you feel that you're like that drinking alcohol isn't guiding you towards the best version of your life, then stop drinking alcohol and see what happens. You might have friends that are going to judge you. Oh, you used to be so wild and fun and crazy, and now you're boring. Okay, cool. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you see, as you shift and as you change, some people will rise with you and other people will not. And that splitting and the mourning of losing certain people in our lives, especially friends, is hard, but it is a necessary step on the path to deeper individuation and self-ownership. But what is on the other side is something that you can't imagine right now. Like the depth and awesomeness of the relationships that are going to come into your life when you are living more coherently, more authentically.
Yeah.
Then you're going to look back and go, I can't believe like I was doing that for 5 years and hanging out with those people for 5 years. But of course, it's a part of your journey. I don't regret the experiences I've had in my life because they were leading me somewhere. And so I sit here now as objectively as possible and go, okay, I can see the path of my life. And when I think about, again, to reiterate what I said before, when I think about the people I've drawn into my life, obviously my wife, Joel, we spend all this time working together. People in the Southern California area, our friends here, our friends online, our friends in other communities that we meet at, let's say, Confluence or Music and Sky, like the quality of people, like it's pretty incredible and pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I love the most about our world, the Here for the Truth fam, but more specifically the Friends of the Truth fam, is that these are people that can dance in so many different realms. We could get super, super deep on a host of subjects. And yet we can be so ridiculous with our humor and not take things personally and laugh and be silly, But I love people that have a wide range of interests, that are as maybe fluid and flexible within themselves in some ways, where they can, I don't know, come together and experience the diversity and variety of what it means to be human. And I just want more of it.
Yeah, man. Beautifully said, bro. Beautifully said. And we'll wrap this up shortly. But like just to really, hone in on this idea, it's like self-esteem is its own internal fuel source. So, and the primary fuel source for most people's behavior is external approval. It comes from outside of themselves, it comes from other people. And so, whenever you find yourself dependent on someone else's approval to do the thing that only you can do, you really need to be able to check yourself. Because when you have authentic self-esteem and when you've cultivated authentic self-esteem, you are self-propelled. The propulsion comes from within. You are the flame. And if someone wants to embrace that flame, they will. If someone's going to get burned from that flame, they will. If someone's going to flee from that flame, they will. So like, I talk about often this concept of the inner zodiac, to borrow a term from Michael Tsarian. And really what that means is that you are a microcosm of creation itself. Everything that exists in the universe is condensed also as a mirror image in you. You are a walking, living, breathing cosmos unto yourself. And the cosmos of you does not require the approval of other people to do its thing. Okay? So your coherence ultimately determines the quality of the orbit that you exert into your field and into your world. And when we say here for the truth, when we say become who you were born to be, when we say rise above the herd, we are asking you to remember this fact, this incredible miracle that you are this living, walking, breathing zodiac. You are deeply archetypal. You are deeply ancient. The threads of your physiology and biology are sacred beyond belief. And so we want you to walk that path. We want you to remember that for yourself, but that is only going to happen when, like we're saying, you cultivate coherence, which means that I remember the myth. I remember that my soul has a unique blueprint. I remember that I came here with a gift. I came here with a message, and hell or high water, I'm going to do all I have to do to excavate that message, to bring forth that blueprint and make it manifest as the mark that I leave for my human existence and for all those that are impacted by it. So thank you all once again for an incredible year. We've had so many amazing comments this year, so much incredible feedback on these episodes. But I do want to highlight one in particular, which we recently received, which really put a smile in our faces. And it's from a listener named Heidi. And she says, "Hello, professors. I say this because I am now up to episode 163 and can notice a profound change in myself, only from listening to your podcast, and lately from Unslaved also. It all started with a later episode that was sent to me featuring Melissa Sell. Holy moly, my world changed and is forever changed. So although I haven't been in a position for your further courses, etc., this podcast, Here for the Truth alone, has shattered bullshit and given me what I'd been searching for. I really can't thank you both enough. I wish you both and your families an amazing festive season and 2026. Warmest regards." Heidi, thank you so
Heidi.
much. You made our day reading that message. I've waited eons for someone to call me a professor, and now it has happened. So thank you so much. But the point is that this is what it means to live in coherence. This is what Yerasimos is talking about when you cannot possibly quantify the impact that you can make simply by being a flame, a torch unto yourself. The ripple effect that is possible when you do that, you will never be able to quantify in value. Never. And so we're grateful that we answered the call. We're grateful to sit at these seats every single day, pretty much every single day, have these conversations, have you listen to them, have them shared, and be able to impact. And the mission from Yerasimos and myself remains to inspire as many people as possible to live their most authentic lives, to reclaim their minds from crowd consciousness and have the courage to become who only they were born to be. And that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to leave you with. That's what Rise Above the Herd is all about. You get lifetime access to our 10-week initiation, which is the psychological foundation for a life well lived. We've transformed over 150 plus lives now, and now you can do it on your own terms. And I genuinely believe that what Rise Above the Herd is one of the most powerful, transformative experiences that exists at one of the most affordable costs that are out there. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on a weekend retreat. You don't go and need to sit at the feet or at the altar of some guru. You can literally sit in your own home and commit to understanding the foundational tools, wisdom, and knowledge that will inspire you and lead you to a more integrated, holistic life where you feel deeply in touch with the mission and the message that you are here to bring forth in the world. hereforthetruth.com/RATH. Yerasimos, any final words from yourself?
No, man. I think you wrapped it up nicely in a bow. If this mic wasn't attached to, I would just drop it and go, mic drop.
Nice, man. Guys, we love you so much and can't wait to keep doing this for a long time to come. I guess Happy New Year, because by the time you're listening to this, it will be. And we'll see you again real soon. Take care.
Lots of love, everyone.